like 10 minutes. That first 10 minutes is corrupted. What is happening? Why does this keep happening? So I guess the VOD is starting here. What's happening, party people? It's the end of the year. We're doing. These are all the games that I played on stream this year. Just to start with, the first few games. Attack of the Rhinox, I think, is the best handheld Spyro game, but I wouldn't recommend it as just a general Game Boy game. I would recommend it if people are a fan of Spyro as a series. The first three Fears to Fathom. One of my favorites would be the Iron Bark Lookout. I would highly recommend that one just as a good horror game. I'd recommend Home Alone as a good entry into the franchise, and the Hitchhike one, I was just saying, is my least favorite. It feels like a game of two halves. It takes really long to get to the good stuff, and in general, it just felt a little, not wandering, but like, the climax I don't think was as strong as with other ones. Anyway, there. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I'm gonna blame the corrupted 10 minutes on E.T. the Extraterrestrial, because I got the pop-up as soon as I saw the fucking thumbnail. These are, by the way, these are all the thumbnails I made for the VODs. There. I think we're caught up now. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. We hit 100 followers on Twitch this year, which is why we played E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should follow me on Twitch. We have milestones, we have a Discord where people vote on the games that I play, all that good stuff. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, actually dog shit. I figured, in all honesty, that, like, I figured that I wouldn't like E.T. the Extraterrestrial because of video game literacy. You know, video games have just come such a far way. One second. Video games have just come such a long way. I genuinely expected to not enjoy this game based purely on, like, oh, games are just built different now. We have tutorials. We have, you know, more intuitive controls, I would say now, or at least I am more inclined to understand more modern controls because those are the games that are coming out. Those are the games we're playing. But E.T. the Extraterrestrial had, like, no dialogue. There wasn't even a point that said, like, oh, you are E.T. You need to build the satellite to go home. I just intuited that based on the plot of the movie. Based on the plot of the movie, it's like, okay, we're collecting junk to make a thing. We're making the phone home. We are E.T., we are phone home. But, like, it was ugly to look at. The soundscape was far worse than, like, other games at the time. Like, even for the times, it was so rough. And, like, the fact that video game adaptations of movies are always bad. The fact that other, more modern video game improvements are actually, or video game adaptations are an improvement, speaks fucking volumes. Alright, Rental. For what Rental is, S tier. It's a free game on Steam made during a game jam. It's a very fun and very atmospheric, hour? 45 minutes if you know what you're... No, half an hour if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're looking for. Like, it's not a very long game, but it is extremely atmospheric. It's really cute. It's really fun, a little spooky. But it's free. It's a great free game, and if people want to support the developers, there's a zine you can buy. But just for what it is, Rental is absolutely a recommend. I would recommend it to everybody because it's free. And you could run it on a potato. If you don't have the best PC in the world, you can still play Rental. Slay the Princess. Slay the Princess, I feel like $3.99 is the best price. Yeah. I would say that Slay the Princess... I got the most out of Slay the Princess that I want to get out of it. I know there's different paths you could go down. There's different princesses that you can unlock, I guess. Like different runs, different routes will take you to different endings that all lead back to that end place, I suppose. But they recently added like 3 new paths. Yeah, it got ported to console this year, and they added more paths to it, which awesome. But when it comes to extremely in-depth, choose-your-own adventures like this, I'm not super inclined to replay them just for the sake of getting different paths. Like, I played the game the way I wanted to play the game, you know? Like, it was called Slay the Princess, so I did that. The other endings would be like, oh, you have to talk to her more, and you have to try to romance her, and that just doesn't speak to me for the game, you know? I feel like for what the game was able to offer me for the playthrough that I played on stream for that day, awesome. That was a great day. That was a great game. That was a great stream. But I don't have an itch. I don't want to go back. At least I don't have an itch to go back, I should say. You know, I'm perfectly content with what I got. Astrobot may have swept TGA, but swept a metric ton of awards in the indie scene. Awesome. Yeah, like, I'm not trying to justify, like, oh, I'm gonna put it super low. Like, I would still, like, recommend this game. I just don't have, like, I would put it in A if I felt the itch to go back, like, oh, I gotta see the other endings. But I don't. So, like, I guess B would be like, I would recommend the game, but I don't know if I'd replay it. So, like, I don't see myself replaying Attack the Rhinox anytime soon. I might go back to that save and finish some stuff off, you know, 100% it. But, no. I do think Slay the Princess is better than Attack of the Rhinox. Home Alone, Fears to Fathom Home Alone is way shorter, but I feel like it was a much more engaging, like, hour and a half. Like, for Slay the Princess, there was a point where I started skipping through repeated dialogue, which I know was gonna happen. You know, I'm not faulting the game for that, but yeah, I think I prefer Home Alone. Alright, the other Fears to Fathom. This is the Woodbury Getaway, which is the most recent one that came out this year. Which was fucking awesome. My only hang-up with this one is the stupid fucking Jenga minigame. I probably would have finished this in one stream if it wasn't for, or like at the end of that one stream, I probably would have finished this if it wasn't for the stupid Jenga minigame. Which is the only reason I'm not super keen on replaying it, but everything else about it really worked for me. Yu-Gi-Oh! Hat spotted. Yeah, it's a little Karibo. Look, it's Karibo. It's a little dude. I think on the side... Yeah, it says Yu-Gi-Oh! On the side. But yeah, Woodbury Getaway, I think, is really solid, like, 85-90%. But I hate the 10-15% that isn't solid. Probably put it just behind Home Alone. I would still probably play this one again before... I feel like I'm weighing this. I feel like it's weighted really high. There's worse games. There's worse games coming up. Carson House. Carson House was another one of my favorites. I fucking loved the Carson House. Yeah, that feels good. Those are probably the two best Fears to Fathom chapters. I would recommend either of these two. I would recommend starting with Home Alone, the first chapter, but in general, these three are extremely solid. This is Spyro Season of Flame. I took the Season of Ice, Season of Flame box art down here somewhere. Yeah, there's Season of Ice. But Season of Flame was just better all around. It had, like, so many quality of life improvements. I think there might have been one issue, like one thing that was kind of a downgrade. Like maybe they took out a mini game that I really enjoyed from Season of Ice into Season of Flame. But better all around. You had a map, you had better mini games. In general, really solid. I would probably say... Am I remembering this game? I would say it's probably the best Game Boy Spyro game. What's the dirt one so far? E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the game that nearly killed the industry back in the the 80s, 1986, 1987. When I hit 100 followers on Twitch this year, every 50 followers is like a milestone for me, and so I play a game for that one, and they're usually trash. They're usually just hot garbage games. So at 100 followers, I think I hit it on Halloween, or like a week before, so this year's Halloween stream was this dirt garbage. Yeah, I would not recommend it. It's fucking awful. But yeah, I would say that Spyro Season of Flame is probably the best Game Boy Spyro game. I have not played the DS one yet on stream, Shadow Legacy. We'll see if that's any better. But yeah, this would probably be my most recommended Spyro game for people looking for a handheld Spyro game, would be Season of Flame. Speaking of dirt garbage, Vampire, or as the thumbnail wants to compress, it just says Vamp. They call him that because he's bisexual. I don't think Vamp is dirt garbage on the same level as E.T., but it's certainly not good. Yeah, the game presents you with moral choices of, oh, do you want to be a good doctor or do you want to be the evil vampire? But what it's actually presenting you with is harder difficulty is being a good person. Easy difficulty is killing everyone and being a really powerful evil vampire. Which I don't think the difficulty of a game should be tied to its moral choices. I think there was some stuff that worked. I definitely think like a lot of the ambience worked. I think the actual combat felt pretty good. Aren't those synonyms? There's a Metal Gear Solid boss named Vamp. And there was somebody, I think it was Otacon, that was asking like, oh, does he have like blood powers or something? And Snake's like, no, they call him that because he's bisexual. And I don't understand what that means. Is it literally just because vampires are like extreme bisexual energy? Anyway, 5 XP per enemy, whether it's a goon or a werewolf, 5 XP flat is just enough to get you down into the lowest possible pit without being buried below hell. Alright, this next one is the worst Ratchet & Clank game, and it was doing everything in the Ratchet & Clank game. So I'm going to weigh this one based on how soon I would do that again. How soon I would get the Platinum Trophy again in Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. Because I would replay Size Matters. It's not awesome, but like, I recognize that objectively, it's like a D. You know, there's worse games like E.T. Objectively, it should go like right around here. But like, I didn't hate my time with We Know You Love Size Matters. It's definitely the worst Ratchet & Clank game, but the worst in a pile of games that I love? Like, that's not... there's still way more games that I hate. But I'd probably put it here, solid C. I enjoyed my time with it, and I think the inclusions that they put in for the PS4, PS5 re-release, I think they included huge quality of life improvements that made it actually possible to do this. Without the quality of life improvements, it would definitely be like down here. But with the quality of life improvements in the PS4, PS5 re-release, which includes like save stating anywhere, if you die, get hit, like if you can back it up by like 1 or 2 second increments, or no, I think it's more like 3 second increments you can back up the game by. Without those very simple and very cheaty quality of life improvements, absolutely not. But with those improvements, I would probably actually rate it higher, but given that we had to do so much grinding for so much money, yuck. And also, a lot of the mini-games aren't that great. I don't like a lot of the Clank mini-games, if I'm being honest. BattleBots is fine. I don't mind the Lemmings puzzles, but like, it's just very middle of the road. Like, there's enough nostalgia and enough good in the game, but I also recognize that it's not a great game. This is for anybody who watches this that's like, how dare you rank Size Matters that high? This is my compromise. This is my compromise. Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. I played this game at the beginning of the year, and then later this year, I think towards the end of summer into early autumn, I came back and I did the post game, which was like a whole sequel. Like, the post game to this game is just an entirely new game, which is crazy to me. I would recommend this one. This is one that I would highly recommend. Okay, here's my issue. I would recommend this game to a lot of people. I feel like there's a lot of people that would get a lot of enjoyment out of this game. I get it. I certainly get it. When people are like, oh, you got to play this game. This is one of the best ones of all time. I don't know how quickly I want to jump back into it. I would much rather play other Pokemon games, other spin-offs. I don't know if the Mystery Dungeon... It might just be that the Mystery Dungeon games aren't for me, and this is just the best Mystery Dungeon game. But I don't see how this could be a hugely popular franchise, like a spin-off franchise. There's, what, like 6? Including remakes, there's like 6 or 7 Mystery Dungeon games. One is fine. Like, I have the Mystery Dungeon game that I like. This one. I don't see myself getting the ones that are on the Switch or anything. I don't want to. But, like, as specifically for Explorers of Sky, fucking solid. It's, like, right between Gen 3 and Gen 4, which is also about the time that I hopped out of Pokemon. So, like, this is right up my nostalgia alley in terms of Pokemon that they're showing off. It's probably going to be, just because I definitely would still recommend it to people, it's probably going to be the lowest A. Like, that's still, like, high praise. But would I play it? I mean, I'd sooner replay all of the... You know what? Just in terms of which ones I would rather replay first, it goes there. Damn. But that also feels... I recognize that... B tier's fine. B tier's fine. Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds was incredible. Outer Wilds was an incredible experience. This is a game that you can truly only ever play for the first time once, which I know, no shit, you can only play any game for the first time once. But even knowing what is happening going in, I do think would hinder the experience. I'm so glad I didn't get any spoilers for this game before going in. This was an incredible time, but I see almost no replay value, if I'm being honest. I had an incredible first-time experience, but there's zero replay value in this game. But it was absolute lightning in a bottle. So I would highly recommend it to a bunch of different people, but with no replay value. That's not fair. Yeah. My Friendly Neighborhood. You know what? Everything about it worked for me. Every last bit of My Friendly Neighborhood worked for me. It has incredible Resident Evil style gameplay with quality of life stuff that Resident Evil should absolutely have. Does Outer Wilds really have less replay value than Fears to Fathom episodes? That's fair. I would be quicker to replay Fears to Fathom myself, but I do recognize that Outer Wilds probably has a lot to offer for people. And I mean, I do have to go back to play the DLC at some point. Echoes of the Eye? No, you're absolutely right. Fears to Fathom. As much as I enjoy those games, and there are some, like, movies and games that I try to make, like, an annual habit out of replaying. Fears to Fathom on my own is probably going to be, like, a little annual October revisit of, like, oh, let's play something a little spooky, you know? But I recognize Outer Wilds is probably a more... Yeah, I'll concede that. What is happening? Oh. Alright, sorry about that. Scheduling stuff. Scheduling issues. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Outer Wilds, I will concede, probably has more replay value than Fears to Fathom. My Friendly Neighborhood, everything was working for me. It had the first-person Resident Evil style gameplay that I love, you know, RE7, RE8, quality of life improvements. It had lots of fun Jim Henson and, like, Muppet Sesame Street references, which are extremely up my alley. I'm a lifelong Muppets fan. Sesame Street, not so much, but it had such, like, it had a storyteller reference in it. The Jim Henson Show, The Storyteller. Like, it was like, it also felt like the perfect length. It worked for me. It worked extremely well for me. Judgment. Ooh, Judgment. Ooh, Judgment. Ooh, Judgment. Judgment is one of the best games I played this year. There are some that I think are better. There are some games that I played this year that I enjoyed more. However, Judgment is so fucking good. You know, and now that I'm getting more into the Like a Dragon games, more into the Yakuza games, I genuinely think Judgment, and it could just be that this was my entry point. Like, Yakuza 0 could be a better entry point. Yakuza Kiwami could be a better entry point. You know, start with some of the older ones, and then work your way into the quality of life improvements. Or do you start with a spin-off? Do you start with the first in the timeline? Because I recognize that going from Yakuza 0 into Yakuza Kiwami, which is Yakuza 1 remake, like, that's going to be a step backwards. I recognize that. But Judgment was so fucking good. And, like, last night, RGG, at the Game Awards, RGG had, like, 2 new announcements. One, they're doing a Virtua Fighter game. 07 or Judgment are the best launching points for new players. I mean, I'm doing 0 now. Did Judgment. I was texting somebody that you have to be really specific with, and I just wasn't specific, so it was a lot. I had to send like 2 extra texts clarifying. Yeah, Judgment, very good. I'm excited for the rest of the franchise, if I'm being honest. I'm excited for the new RGG games coming out. Even though, talked about this a little bit in the Discord server, which there's a Discord server if anybody's interested. That's where we hang out, people vote on the games that I play, all that good stuff. Like, a majority of this list was voted on by the Discord server for me to play earlier this year. Even though I did have some recent Yakuza stuff spoiled for me, I'm still looking forward to it. I'm still looking forward to getting to that point, you know? I'm so excited. God of War 2. 2007? I think this game is probably... Oh, is this peak Greek God of War? I definitely enjoy God of War 2 more than God of War 1. Yeah, I think God of War 2 at least better than God of War 1, which is also later on this list, but I mean, it's not as good as either of the Norse God of War games. Those are some of my favorite games of all time, but this is at least like, this is a game I've played before. I'm definitely going to be playing again at some point. Yes, last year I got the Platinum Trophy in this game. Like, I enjoyed this game a lot. I think at the very least, like, I would recommend it to people looking for a good PS2 game. You know, at least back when the PS2 was out. You know, see what the PS2 is capable of. Yeah, it's a pretty high A for me. Alan Wake 2, probably my favorite game from this year on this list. We'll get to it. We'll see how I feel getting to other games. And I'm so fucking mad that Alan Wake 2 is a damn near perfect game for me, because Alan Wake 1 is like borderline buried below hell. Why would Sam Lake do this to me? Why would Sam Lake make a bunch of games that are like so mid, so like, I don't want to say they're garbage, but they're garbage. Like, but then the entire Remedy team just comes swinging out the gate in the 2020s with, yeah, this is their first game of the decade, right? I think Control was like 2019. Yeah, this is their first. They come storming into the 2020s with one of the best horror games I've ever played. Probably my favorite game. It came out last year. What other games were big last year? It's one of my favorite games that I played on stream this year. It's so good. It's so fucking awesome. The issue is, my one hang-up with Alan Wake 2 is that the prerequisites of Alan Wake 1 and possibly Quantum Break, possibly Control, you know, the shared universe that the Remedy games have, like, the homework before getting to Alan Wake 2 is not awesome, but that is no fault on the game itself. I will not fault the game for that, you know? Like, I'm not dragging down God of War 2 because I liked it more than God of War 1, you know? Oh, but you gotta play God of War 1 before getting to God of War 2. Bad example, both are good games, but, like, that is not Alan Wake 2's fault at all. Hack GU Volume 1. I gotta go back to this franchise. I gotta get back. So, the .hack GU is the second series in the .hack games, and this one, I've been told, I've been playing this one as its own. Haven't played the earlier Dot Hack games. It's good. The combat's extremely repetitive. I think the story is interesting. I think the presentation is wild. The presentation as the presentation with it's a like an MMORPG, but it's like an offline single player game. Like the game itself is offline single player, but it's designed and presented as though you are playing online with other real people, which is very cool to me. I very much enjoy the style of this game. In terms of JRPGs, I'm not going to be quick to recommend this one to people. I personally am interested to see where the story goes. I do want to get back to the Dot Hack games at some point. But for the most part, it's fine. I've played better JRPGs. It's fine. Omori. Oh, God. One of the few times I cried on stream this year. Oh, my God. Beautiful game. Games are art. Games are art. Oh. This is either going to be like an S or a high A. The thing I'm thinking about is how quickly do I feel... This falls into the same camp as Slay the Princess to me, where I know there's multiple routes. I know there's different ways that this game can shake out, different ways to play it. But my playthrough felt so specific to me, you know, and how I wanted to play the game, how I wanted Omori and Sunny to... How I wanted Sunny to interact with his world, and... I think just because I do see myself replaying this game at some point, but since I don't see myself replaying it immediately, like I don't, and I guess that shouldn't be the barometer, you know, like after I finish a game, do I just want to jump back in? But that's kind of where I'm at for S tiers, is like, when the game is, when I hit credits on the game, do I want more game? That's what the S tiers are. And for Omori had a very satisfying ending in such a complete gut punch, heart-wrenching story. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's something else. Resident Evil 7. This is one... It was a good... Resident Evil 7 is a good breath of fresh air to the Resident Evil franchise. I like the mold stuff. It unfortunately did lead to Resident Evil 8, which derailed the franchise a little bit in terms of being a Resident Evil franchise. RE8, still one of, if not the best, like, horror survival game I've played. At least my favorite. I love Resident Evil 8. I love how it plays. I will always hype up that game. But it's not a great Resident Evil game. It has very little to do, and the monster designs feel a little out there for Resident Evil after a certain point. But like Resident Evil 7 still feels like Resident Evil. It's got the very fun puzzles. It's what inspired My Friendly Neighborhood, you know, things like this. Oh, I'm torn because I do think that it's a little bloated, you know, towards the end. I definitely think the last third of this game is a bit long. Like, once you get to the wrecked ship, there's still, like, too much game left. The ship into the mine, for some reason, like, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh yeah, this goes on weirdly long, or oh yeah, this segment is here. And that's not a good feeling when you're playing a game, if you want there to be less game. But I also... No, I don't have the inclination to replay this as much as I do 8. 8, I think, has great replayability. 7, not as much. Oh, but I would still recommend it to people. We'll put it there. Oh, which would I rather replay? God of War 2 or Resident Evil 7 I'd rather replay over God of War 2. Right there. That's fine. You know, it's not the greatest game ever, but it's still a very good game that I do enjoy replaying. Skyrim. I did a couple Skyrim streams this year, just if there was nothing planned and it was a stream day. We had Skyrim as a backup game. Skyrim's been a backup game for years now. So The Adventures of Terry, the Khajiit. I think there's like maybe 7 streams of Terry over the last like 3 years. In terms of just what was accomplished on stream as Terry for this year, very low. But I also played Skyrim off stream this year with some friends. We had we were playing with a mod that allowed us to play together. So I was playing, you know, a 5-6 player Skyrim game, and that was awesome. That is the best way to play Skyrim, in my opinion. It gets rid of all of the like unnecessary grinding, because everybody's combat is linked. So like if somebody's in combat and they're downing enemies, whatever the last ability was that your hands used, it starts increasing that skill. So if that's block, if that's alteration, if that's restoration, if that's one-handed, two-handed, if that's archery, all of that stuff, like whatever magic or weapon or shield or whatever you held in your hands last in combat, that's what it starts increasing. So like I was just hanging out in town doing other stuff, and like my two-handed was going up. Or like one thing that I loved about playing Skyrim with friends is that we all spec'd into different what's the word? We all spec'd into different utility things. So like I spec'd into smithing, my friend into enchantment. We had a friend who was doing potion brewing. What's that called? Alchemy? I think it's alchemy. So like we were all like, it was a small little economy of like, oh, I'll smith a better weapon for you if you enchant my weapon or something like that. You know, there was a very nice little economy going on with the players. And for my smithing, for transmutation, I was taking iron ore, and I could turn it into silver ore, and then the silver ore I could turn into gold ore. So I was sitting in Whiterun just doing that for a while, and everybody else's abilities were going up because I was using a hand ability. So like somebody's one-handed was going up, somebody's archery was going up. And so the way that the game sort of plays with having multiple people really helps against the grind for Skyrim, which is one of the worst parts of Skyrim in my opinion. Is that the early game is very boring, very samey, and it takes a while in Skyrim before you wander across something you might not have seen before. Which there's, at least for me, there's always going to be something about Skyrim that I've never seen before. But I digress. I would highly recommend playing Skyrim Together, which is the name of the mod. In terms of just what we did with Terry, the single-player game that we played through on stream, I don't know, it's fucking Skyrim. What do you want from me? It's fucking Skyrim. Yeah, that's fine. Balan Wonderworld. Fucking Balan Wonderworld. Bury it below the hell, but it's not as bad as E.T. I think E.T. is probably the worst thing I played this year. So Balan Wonderworld was extremely boring, extremely repetitive, extremely uninteresting. And if that wasn't the only issues that it had, after beating the game, you would unlock additional levels where it's like, oh, now it's time for the evil versions of the level or something, you know? Basically, it It was an arduous experience that I did not enjoy, and then at the very end of the game was like, there's more game, which, you know, that would be awesome if it was an S game, and it was like, oh my god, there's more game? No. Borderlands. This was the Borderlands playthrough with Mew from the beginning of the year. Borderlands is a game that I adore. The original game is one of my favorite first-person shooters ever. Borderlands is one of my favorite first-person shooter franchises of all time. I would say Borderlands 1 in co-op with a friend. That's an S tier experience. That's wonderful. I would probably put it right about there. Ooh. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. I love Borderlands 1. I still think Borderlands 1 holds up extremely well. Weighing the quality of life stuff from later Borderlands games versus the atmosphere and like the intent that you can feel behind Borderlands 1 because there was no expectation. It's a great time. I love Borderlands. Pre-sequel. This was the playthrough with Mew and Dakota. Pre-sequel is extremely fun with a lot of people. 3 to 4 players, I think, is the optimal way to play pre-sequel. Good luck getting 3 to 4 people to play pre-sequel. Good luck getting 2 to 3 people to play pre-sequel with you. The game on its own, not awesome. It's kind of grown on me over the years, I'm not gonna lie. It's grown on me over the years, but it's still, you know, fucking pre-sequel. Yeah, that feels about right. No, I think I would sooner play it before I think I would sooner play through pre-sequel with friends before replaying Size Matters alone. Bubus. It's Bubsy. Bubsy 3D. Buried below hell. Oh god. If you don't know about the horrors that are Bubsy 3D, I'd recommend going to watch the VODs. That was what, 2 streams, 3 streams? It's dog shit. It's so bad. It's so bad, and you know what? There's more to come. 200 followers on Twitch, I'll play another Bubsy game. If you love to watch me suffer, tell your friends. It's a free follow. I super appreciate it. 200 followers, Bubsy 3D. 200 followers, Bubsy 3D. No. 200 followers, Bubsy... Paws of Fury, I think is what the game is called. This was Bubsy 3D. It's better than E.T., That's what I'll give Bubsy 3D. It's better than E.T. Control is fine. I feel like I should have played this game on PS5. I feel like it was not super optimized for PS4 that I was playing it on. There's a lot of stuttering issues. There's a lot of pop-in issues. In general, the gameplay was alright. It had that Sam Lake thing of being... It felt vague and unoriginal, or like the villains were called the Hiss. But in general, I liked a lot of the level design. I liked a lot of the world building, you know, for what the Bureau of Control is, the FBC, Federal Bureau of Control. And I like that they showed up in Alan Wake 2. I enjoyed a lot of what this game had to offer. There was just... Okay, wait, what? How is Omori A tier? Because I adored that game. It made me cry. What are you talking about? Omori made me cry. I fucking adore that game. The only reason it's not S tier is because when I hit credits, I wasn't like, oh, I wish there was more game. That's kind of what S tier has become, is when I hit... Okay, I guess there's a delay. S tier is like, once I hit credits, ooh, I wish there was more game. Ooh, I wish there was more game. But for Omori, when it ended, perfect. When it ended, I was like, that's it. I would recommend this to people. I don't have an immediate itch to go back in and see what the other endings are. But, like, it's probably the highest A tier. There's just a couple personal things that are keeping it from S tier for me. I recognize that it could be S tier for a lot of people, but just for me, immediately, it's not S tier. But it's probably going to be one of the... Cool. Awesome. No, that's great. You have no idea how cool that actually is. Really hope that didn't fuck anything up. Wouldn't that just be the fucking worst? God. Here, let me double check something. Oh, because things are fucking wrapped up. Okay. Yeah, okay, we're good. Then an actual experience you had? On a hypothetical future experience rather than the actual experience. I value replayability in games a lot. I've talked about this before, how I would much rather, like if we're talking about a standard, I guess this was standard a few years ago, $60 game, I would much rather pay $60 for a 10-hour game that I would play a bunch than a 50-hour game that I would only want to play through once. I value replayability in games so much. You know, like a solid little bite-sized experience. That's why the Fears to Fathom games are so high. They're short, but I would replay them. Rental is an S tier. That game is like half an hour long. Maybe an hour at most. But Omori was a phenomenal experience. But I do think that by the sheer fact that, like, I know that, okay, so I know there's other things you can do with Sunny. Like in that game, or the main character, the MC, like you can have a different ending based on how you play things out with Sunny, you know, not answering the door and stuff. I don't care. I don't care what that is. My personal experience with the game, I feel like, is all I need. I have no desire to replay Omori, at least right away. Maybe years from now, I'll go back to it. But, like, it's the same reason why Slay the Princess is in B tier. Because I know there's tons of different things I didn't do in Slay the Princess. Not super fussed about it. I can put Omori up in S tier if it bothers you that much. I can put Omori up in S tier if that bothers you, if it bothers you that much. But yeah, Control, I feel... Oh, get out of here. Okay. Control had a lot going for it. It just... Something about the execution, like other earlier Remedy games, something in the execution just did not work. It fell a little short. I don't know if I'd super recommend it to people. It's fine. It's fine. C tier, it's fine. Dragon Quest 1. I recognize that Dragon Quest is not everybody's cup of tea, especially the original one. And I'm excited for the remake coming out next year. They just remade Dragon Quest 3, and they're doing a collection remake of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 in 2025. But I recognize it's not for everybody. I also don't think it's the best entry point for new players, so I don't even know if I'd recommend Dragon Quest 1 super hard. At this point, I would recommend the Dragon Quest 3 remake as an entry point, because that's the first like chronological entry. But I think, okay, personal biases aside, though, I think I'd replay it. Oh, but I had... I had a better time with that game this year than I did Skyrim on stream. In fact, I think I had a better time with this game on stream than I did Ratchet and Clank. Ooh, it's gonna go right here, but I don't think in terms of being mid, I don't think it's gonna beat out Pre-Sequel just for the sheer fact that I played Pre-Sequel with friends. That's really it. God of War 1, not as good as God of War 2. Oh, but I could still recommend it to people. That feels about right. God of War has just evolved so much since God of War 1 that I guess with hindsight, it's not the best. There's some cool spectacle in God of War 1, but everything God of War 2 did kind of outshines it. Hi-Fi Rush. Ooh, Hi-Fi Rush is in a very similar place as Omori, in that once it was finished, I was like, oh, that's perfect. You know, that's a great place to leave it. I know they're working on a Hi-Fi Rush 2, which I'm excited about. That's the whole reason why Krafton bought Tango Gameworks, was to make a Hi-Fi Rush 2. How do I feel about a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush, though? Because Hi-Fi Rush on its own is such a solid, like... Alright, here's my compromise. I'll put Omori up in S tier, along with Hi-Fi Rush. I think both of these games, for different reasons, truly knocked it out of the park. Like, there's no rhythm game like Hi-Fi Rush. It is a truly unique experience. All of the characters are immediately lovable. You know, there's not a lot of times in very, you know, bright, colorful, quirky games like this, there would be like a character that I don't, you know, mesh with. Every character is so likable. And same with Omori. All of our friends are so likable. But they're both going to be low S tier, though, because I still don't have a strong desire to replay them. But that doesn't mean I won't. I should specify, just because I don't have a desire to replay them right now, it doesn't mean I won't replay them. Kingdom Hearts 1. I mean, if it was Kingdom Hearts 2, that would be fucking S tier. I love Kingdom Hearts 2, but I didn't play that one on stream this year. I did replay Kingdom Hearts 2 on its own, though. Without, like, not streaming it, just in my own time. Kingdom Hearts 1. I'm gonna say very high A tier, only because the way that I played it on stream... Come on, there we go. The playthrough I did of Kingdom Hearts on stream was to get the platinum. And that felt really fucking good to do on stream. I played through the game twice off stream, For people that saw in the Discord server, it was my most played game on PlayStation this year because I played through the game 3 times. Once on the easiest difficulty, just to clean up all the collectible bullshit that I missed. Once again on the easiest difficulty as a speed run because it's a trophy to beat the game in under like 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours, which I did. And then the final trophy that I needed was beat the game on the hardest difficulty, and I did it. Proud mode. I beat Kingdom Hearts 1 on proud mode, and it felt good getting a you did everything pop-up for a JRPG. Felt pretty good. And just by that, the game itself, probably like a C or B tier. But in the context of the stream, A tier. You know, that was a very fun experience. Speaking of games that felt fucking awesome to finish on stream, Maximo versus the Army of Zin. This is a game I have been borrowing from patches for years. Last year, I played like the first half of the game, and I got stuck because of the same display lag that I had with Spyro. For whatever reason, my old setup, PS2 games, had horrible display and display lag. It wasn't an input lag. If I had the PS2 plugged into this TV behind me, everything was fine. But for whatever reason, going from the PS2 into my old PC, there was a display delay. But yeah, Army of Zin. It's a very fun, very hard platformer based on Ghosts and Goblins. It's certainly something. You know, I had such a hard time last time, you know, I got so frustrated at the game, I put it down for like a year, and then I came back, and then the display delay was gone, and I was able to properly play the game, and oh my god, I don't think I would have been able to beat the game without proper input. But the final boss of the game, like, felt so satisfying. You know, it was one of those things where it doesn't come down to having the right kit, having the right build, the right equipment before going into the boss fight. It's genuinely a skill check. And I passed it. And it felt so good. I remember it felt... my heart was racing when I beat that game. Like, I remember how tense I felt during the boss fight, and the wave of relief that came over me once I beat it. That being said, I don't see myself replaying it. Which, big impact. I don't even know if I'd super recommend it to people. Like, if you like Ghosts and Goblins, if you're looking for a game, if you're looking for this game, I'd recommend this game. But if somebody just says, hey, I'm looking for, you know, a 3D platformer on PS2, there's dozens of other ones I'd recommend before this one. But out of the sheer adrenaline that I felt, like, I don't want to put it down here, but like the sheer adrenaline that I felt from like beating the game, right about there. Yeah. Hogs of War was not for me. People talked up this game so much. I do not like tactics games. We've been over this. But people laud this game. You know, this is a hidden gem on the PS1. I wish I could enjoy this game. I recognize it. I don't like tactics games. I really don't like tactics games. Oh, had to do it to him. I feel so bad. Mew's gonna see this later, and I'm gonna get a fucking text. I'm gonna get a "how dare you" text. Yeah. I'm sorry, Hogs of War. And it's not even like a dated PS1 thing. There's other PS1 games that I adore. Like, obviously, fucking half of my image is built on Spyro Warship. There's like, but I gotta find a tactics game I like. I gotta find a tactics game I'll enjoy. This just wasn't it. Pets Cats 2. This was a game I managed to finish in a day. This game goes fucking wild. The final boss is like a wizard dog or something, wizard wolf. I don't know. I don't fucking know, man. This shit goes crazy. I had more fun with this game than I thought I would. Is what I'll start with. I had more fun with this game than I thought I would. I don't see myself ever replaying it, though. But you know what? Just for the sheer fact that it like goes a little crazy, I am gonna say really low B tier because I would still recommend it. For the sheer fact that like, hey, it gets weird, you know? Like, I feel like a lot of the console Pets games are also kind of like that. Like, there's Dog Island or something that's actually about, like, oh, this cute little puppy sister of yours, she's terminally ill. You gotta go get a flower that will heal her. And that's the whole adventure. It's like, what do you mean this dog is sick? What do you mean this dog is dying? Like, Uber tier cat racism? What do you mean cat racism? It just gets weird. Nah, the racist cat is down here. Bubsy the Bobcat. Cocoon. Okay, so we're starting to get into the ones that I played through January. At the beginning of the year, I spent a month playing through a bunch of like small games that I missed last year. And Cocoon, I see why it won Best Indie. Oh yeah, no, oh god, you're right, yeah. God, I forgot about that. Again, like, that's why I would recommend this game. It seems super boring when you say, oh, you should play Pets Cats 2. Like, the cover of the game does not do it justice. This game is weird. Cocoon is like a perfect puzzle game. Cocoon's like a perfect little puzzle game. I will say, visually speaking, I think Cocoon is one of the, like, most beautiful puzzle games I've ever played. I think how's the tiering going? It's going. I think Cocoon is one of the most, like, you know, wow kind of games I've ever played. Cocoon is genuinely so beautiful. I do think the last puzzle is really fun. I do like the last puzzle of the game, but there are points where it feels like the game is kind of like ramping up to what should be the end, and then it's like, nah, this is like a boss fight that's going to become a recurring thing. Like, the game is longer than I would have thought, but not in a bad way. But it has the issue. And again, I'm going to keep talking about replay value. I'm sorry if that's not as big of a thing for other people. But, like, the issue with puzzle games is once you know the puzzles, you know. I'm sure if I gave it a couple years, I would forget the puzzles. But, like, I don't know. It's, I'm going to put it up towards the end of S tier. One of those, like, perfect little nugget experiences, but yeah, and that was kind of something that came up earlier with like Omori and Hi-Fi Rush. Like, single experiences, and this is something that Risen brought up. Hypothetical future experiences rather than the actual like first time experience, because like Amori was like a fucking great experience that made me cry, but like I don't have a want. I don't. It is replayable. I personally don't have a strong urge to. Is why originally I had it as like the highest A tier. But I'm willing to cop that. Like these games towards the end here are more so like fucking great, fucking awesome games. But like the higher end S tiers these are games I will be replaying at some point. You know, like Borderlands, I will replay. I have replayed a bunch. Will continue to replay a bunch. You know, fucking chef's kiss. Venba. Venba was a cute, wholesome, wonderful little narrative. Thank you, Arrow. Venba was a cute little bite-sized narrative. But again, like, don't know if I'd replay it. This is more so an experience, I would say, than like a it is a video game. I don't want to bring down the creators of it, but it is more so a narrative experience. You know, a lot of the gameplay is the food that tells the story, which is very fun. But like, oh, is the music over? Hang on. Where did the music go? Oh no, something that's got copyright struck. Okay, let's back this up. There we go. A Final Fantasy song got removed from the this little compilation. Venba. This is extremely hard because I think this is a great half hour. But like, yeah. No, I don't want to save that. There it is. Okay. Low A tier. Low A tier. Because I would recommend this game to everybody, but like, again, it's a narrative experience. You know, if this was based on like movie criteria, you know, of how good the story was, you know, for, you know, if this list was based on different criteria other than it's a video game, maybe it'd be in a different spot. Oh, Season of Ice. Season of Ice, you were bad. I think I would still replay Season of Ice before I replayed Vampire, but Season of Ice was bad. Chants of Sennaar, very good. I really liked Chants of Sennaar. This is a game that I have recommended to people. Cocoon and Chants of Sennaar are games that I have recommended to people. I definitely would replay it for Venba. I think no, I don't think I'd replay it before Fears to Fathom, if I'm being honest. I really liked these Fears to Fathom. Viewfinder is probably... Oh, because it's along the same lines as, like, Superliminal. These games Viewfinder is proof of like the cool limits that you can, or not limits, but like the cool things you can do with video games when it comes to presenting a three-dimensional plane on 2 dimensions. Viewfinder has such an incredibly unique mechanic, and I do see myself replaying this game probably honestly soon. Much like Superliminal, where just for the sheer gameplay of it, it doesn't have, you know, a mind-bending story. Superliminal doesn't have a mind-bending story. But the gameplay is so fucking solid. Just for being a game, incredible mechanics, incredibly fun puzzles. I'm like snaking it up the list in my mind about like I think I enjoyed it more than My Friendly Neighborhood. I enjoyed it more than Rental. Okay, I'm gonna make a quick adjustment because the reason Rental is up here is because it's free. It is a great experience that is free. I don't super know if the price tag should be, because then like, oh, Alan Wake 2, but that's like a $70 game. Rental's gonna come down to A tier. Again, it is free. It's a wonderful experience. It was made at a game jam. Like it was a weekend game, and it was so cute and so atmospheric. And we're starting to get into some games that are truly just, these are home. These are home. Ratchet and Clank 1, 2002 for the PS2. This is home. This is a game that I have replayed dozens of times. It is not hyperbole to say that I've probably played this game over 40 times. It is not hyperbole at all. I mean, like, when you're a kid, you just had the games you have, you know. But also, like, when I was in high school, believe it or not, I was not super popular during school. So like I would spend a lot of summers indoors, which I kind of regret. I kind of wish I'd gone out more and, you know, spent time with friends and stuff. But hindsight's 2020. I do remember playing through some games back to back quite a bit in high school. And then during the COVID lockdowns, a lot of these, like, basically COVID hit a little after I was already an adult, but it hit to be the popular theater kid. So I was a theater kid. I was a choir kid. I was a stagecraft kid. I was an unofficial band kid, but I also had friends who were jocks. I had a couple friends who were cheerleaders, just because I went to a very small elementary school. And then people that I just knew, like when we got to high school and then everybody dispersed, and like found their own cliques and stuff, like there were like cheerleaders that I was friends with. There were jocks that liked me because my homeroom teacher was the football coach. So like when I used to film our football games. That's something the stagecraft kids would do, is we would take cameras out to the football fields and we would televise football games locally. And so I would be setting things up, and the football coach would like call out to me from like across the field. And so like all of the jocks and stuff, like, all the jocks and stuff kind of had the same nickname for me that the football coach did, which, you know, is very endearing. But like the reason I say I wasn't too popular is because I didn't super have my own clique. I kind of bounced around, you know, like, oh, I would go hang out with a couple of these people this day, these people this day. But like, it took until senior year of high school before I really found like a singular group of friends. And those are people I'm still friends with today. And only, like, one of them was actually, like, also a choir kid. One of them was, like, a theater kid. Like, it, like, the group that I found is not the group that I thought I would have, but I love them. I love my friends. But yeah, I spent a lot of summers, indoors. Yeah. Ratchet and Clank, I will say, there's tons of quality of life things from later Ratchet and Clank games, but Ratchet and Clank 1, certified classic. Certified classic with incredible replayability, but I will cop to the fact that there are better games. But it's still going in S tier. This is my list. This is my list. People can get mad if they want. A 22-year-old game is still S tier. And I will not apologize. I just saw the thumbnail for the next one. Oh. Spyro Enter... No. Spyro A Hero's Tale. The... Ember playthrough. Ember A Hero's Tale. So, when I beat Spyro A Hero's Tale on stream, somebody was like... I basically said, like, this game isn't great. If I find collectibles for the unlockable alt skins, I'll do more playthroughs in those alt skins, you know, if I collect them all. And I got duped. Somebody was like, hey, if you put in this code, it'll unlock the completion bonus. And, anything to do with recent events? Dude, so excited for Okami 2. Or Okami sequel. So I put in this code for the completion bonus for Spyro A Hero's Tale, which is garbage. You don't have to complete Spyro A Hero's Tale. The completion bonus is not worth it. Genuinely, completing that game, disgusting. I would never. But one thing I didn't know is that the code wasn't just for unlocking the extras. What it actually did was it would just put everything in your inventory. So I got duped. So I had technically collected all of the eggs that unlocked the alt skins. So I came back and I did a Flame playthrough last year, and this year I came back and did the Ember playthrough. I'm getting better at A Hero's Tale. I beat the whole game in one stream. I'm getting better at it. I mean, the game's growing on me. It's fine. I don't know if I'd super recommend it. Yeah. I don't know if I would super recommend Spyro A Hero's Tale. Although I do think I enjoyed it more than Attack of the Rhinox. It's gonna go here. I do think A Hero's Tale is inventive for the franchise. I think they have a lot of interesting ideas. It's just not my favorite Spyro. Croc, Legend of the Goobers. Legend of the Gobos. Mew was very mad at me because I put in the cheat code to like unlock the rest of the game, just to go to the final boss fight and beat the game. Mew was very mad at me for that. It's fine. I would probably recommend this game to other people who are looking for a PS1 platformer, but I would also recommend Spyro first. I'd probably recommend Croc before I recommend Crash, but that's just my personal bias against Crash Bandicoot. In general, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't hate it. Don't we play games for the gameplay? Yeah. Speaking of gameplay, Psychonauts 2. Oh. Something that I was not expecting. Blop. Psychonauts 2, one of my favorite games of all time. I've done the hypotheticals with friends before of like, oh, if you could only play like one game or pick your 5 favorite game, like if you only had these games to play for the rest of your life, what would they be? Psychonauts 2 is on that list. I think when I did that list, it was like, oh, you could take, it was like, pick 5 physical games off your shelf, and those are the discs you can play for the rest of your life. I picked, like, the Ratchet and Clank trilogy on PS3, the Sly trilogy on PS3, God of War 2018, because I hadn't played Ragnarok yet. I picked Psychonauts and Psychonauts 2. And I was like, damn, I wish there was, like, a collection. You know, I wish there was a compiled collection. But, like, I was looking at, like, oh, the PS1 Spyro games, the Reignited... Oh, no, it was Reignited over, Sly. I picked the Reignited trilogy over Sly Cooper. That's what happened. Although the Sly trilogy is also up there. Speaking of Ratchet and Clank, A Crack in Time, which is probably the most, like, lore and story-heavy Ratchet and Clank game. And so last year, I had a huge run of Ratchet and Clank games. I played, like, 3 or 4 of them back-to-back. And I ended on the second of 3 Ratchet and Clank Future games, like the trilogy. I ended with A Crack in Time, and then I came back months later with the end of the trilogy, and I was like, you know what, it's fine. People who weren't here for the earlier streams, it's fine. This is a great fucking game. Probably right about there, if I'm being honest. It's a high A tier, but I think I enjoy all of these S tiers more. And I realize how skewed this is. It's very hard for me to not want to love things. You know, I love games. And a lot of these, you know, oh, it's like great art that people make. And then there's Balan Wonderworld. Spyro Orange. I think I would sooner play Bubsy 3D again before I play through Spyro Orange again. How do you let that happen? How do you let Spyro Orange happen? I still gotta play through Crash Purple. But it's just a boring minigame compilation. And then you get to the end, and then they tell you, oh, you have to beat every minigame in the game, every minigame level in the game 2 more times. You have to beat every level, which is just a retextured minigame of the same, like, 7 minigames. You have to replay all of them. You have to beat them all 3 times. It's fine. Valhalla. This was also fucking incredible. Oh, I don't want to keep putting things in S tier. S tier doesn't feel special anymore. Has become the issue. There's just so many S tier games. S tier doesn't feel... But it made me cry. It goes next to Omori because it made me cry. Now the question is... I think I would sooner play through Omori. Who cares if it's a good game? It's a good game. Yeah. Goes next to Omori. I think I would sooner replay Valhalla, if I'm being honest. I would sooner replay Valhalla than Omori, although it is close, but... Fucking S-tier games are S-tier games. Zao. I played Zao at the beginning of the year, and it got the year off to an incredible start. And I've been gassing up this game all year. I genuinely think it is a phenomenal game that I would recommend to a lot of people. However... better games just came along. I just enjoy I think I enjoy all these games more. Story-wise, it is an incredible story. Gameplay-wise, it's just a pretty good Metroidvania. It got me to enjoy a Metroidvania, and I don't super enjoy those. I don't hate them as much as I hate, like, tactics games. And actually get an ending? What do you mean? I got a great ending. I got a great ending where I was homeless. Homeless is an ending. But, like, I'm thinking about it. It's definitely, like, A tier, but would I replay it before any of these? Probably not. I would still, like, Zao is probably my most recommended game of the year. Like, everything on this list that I played, if you have to take anything away from any of these, play Tales of Kensera Zao. That being said, I recognize it's not a super inventive Metroidvania. It's got really good gameplay, but Prince of Persia, Metroidvania with a franchise people know? Yeah. The difference is, though, that Prince of Persia hadn't been a Metroidvania for decades. You know, it had, or at least it hadn't been a side-scroller for decades. They had tons of, like, 3D platformers, hack and slash games. All right, and the last one that we have here, again, honorable mentions go to, like, Yakuza 0 and the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, you know, games that I haven't beaten yet on stream, so I can't give a clear judgment to how I feel about them. How do I feel about my experience 100%ing Enter the Dragonfly? I mean, I had done it before. In all honesty, I'll probably do it again. The more that I play through this game, the better it gets, and I don't know if that's the Stockholm Syndrome. But legitimately, I know this game is bad. I know this game is bad. This game is... The load times are ridiculous. There's terrible pop-in. Some things will just deload or despawn. This game has a billion issues. That being said, out of pure nostalgia, because again, this is not the first time I've 100%ed this game. It's not going to be, it's not going to be the last. More likely to try a genre if it's a familiar brand attached. Yeah, remember how mainstream comics, Yukima superhero movies became so common? Yeah, no, you're right. Okay. I don't know where to put this one. Because I know it belongs, like, here. I know for a fact. Oh, you can see the last file I uploaded. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. I know it belongs here. Objectively speaking. But I also know, objectively speaking, Dragon Quest 1 is probably also a little high. Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil 7 are probably a little high. Oh, I would replay this game a lot, though. I would definitely replay it before replaying... Oh, how mad are people gonna get? How mad are people gonna get if I put Spyro Enter the Dragonfly as a very high B tier, as the highest B tier? I already did it. You know what? It's my list. It's my list. Enter the Dragonfly is a crap game. Enter the Dragonfly is a just absolute dirt water game that I love. I hate that I love this game so much. It's like, yeah, I know my kid's ugly, but I love my kid. What about it? Anyway, that's all I had planned for today. Not like I didn't have like a super big stream planned. I just remembered that I wanted to do this. I remembered I wanted to do this yesterday before the Game Awards, but I just spent a lot of time getting things set up with Mew to make sure all that worked. And even then, I was listening back to the VOD. Mew's really quiet. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how quiet Mew was for y'all during the Game Awards stream. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that's all I had planned for today. Just a reminder that a majority of the games featured on today's little tier list were voted on by the Discord server. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to say in what I play next, you can head on over to the Discord server. There's also the Patreon. There's the, you know how it You know how if a stream can if a stream can break, it will. Yeah. Yeah, other than the Discord server, which votes on the games that I play, and where the, the sources that I cite for the, you too, Arrow, for the, gaming news streams, all that stuff ends up over on the Discord server, but there's also the, Patreon, the Instagram, Kill All Film Majors, Silver Screeners, all that good stuff. As usual, everything is linked below, or here in the Twitch chat. You can follow me on Twitch. It's free. It's easy. At 150 followers, we'll be playing Akiba's Trip. And then at 200 followers, Bubsy Paws of Fury. Alright. Be good, be kind, treat people the way that you would want to be treated. And I'll catch you in 2025. I'll catch you actually on fucking Monday for more stuff. We're still in December. We're only like halfway through December. But like... This is the end of your wrap up. This is the end of your wrap up. Sorry to any games that I play in late December that are not going to make it. Sorry to games that, you know, I'm not going to finish in time to make it onto this list. Yeah. Be good, be kind, treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and we'll catch you in the next one.